on-screen love affair, married, something.
For 20 years, from 1955 to 1975, Gunsmoke reigned as television's most beloved Western series. At the center of this cultural phenomenon stood James Arness, whose portrayal of Marshal Matt Dillon became one of the most iconic characters in television history. His towering 6'7" frame and stoic demeanor brought law and order to the frontier town of Dodge City week after week, captivating audiences across America. But behind the scenes of this legendary show, tensions simmered that few viewers ever suspected. Despite his professional demeanor and the seamless chemistry displayed on screen, James Arness harbored deep personal conflicts with one particular co-star, a relationship so strained that he privately wished for their removal from the series. Before delving into the behind-the-scenes drama, it's worth understanding how Gunsmoke rose to become a television juggernaut. The show began as a radio drama in 1952, with William Conrad voicing Marshal Matt Dillon. Conrad's deep, commanding voice perfectly captured the grit and authority of the frontier lawman, making the radio version a hit with listeners nationwide. The radio series didn't just inspire the television show, it laid the foundation for its rich storytelling and authentic atmosphere, ensuring the heart and soul of Gunsmoke remained intact across both mediums. When CBS decided to bring the series to television in 1955, they needed a physically imposing actor who could embody the rugged lawman. While Conrad had mastered the voice of Dillon, producers felt his appearance didn't match their vision for the character on screen. This decision marked one of television's most significant casting pivots, leading to a search for an actor who could visually represent the towering lawman that listeners had imagined. Hollywood legend John Wayne was initially considered for the role, but he declined due to his film commitments. The Duke recognized that a television series would require a grueling production schedule that would interfere with his thriving movie career. However, Wayne believed strongly in the show's potential and personally recommended his friend James Arness for the part. As a show of support, Wayne even filmed a special introduction for the pilot episode, lending his star power to help Gunsmoke make a splash with viewers right from the start. This endorsement proved to be a masterstroke. Arness not only made the role his own, but crafted a performance so iconic that it rivaled Wayne's legendary screen presence, securing his place in television history. The decision to cast Arness as Matt Dillon would change the landscape of television westerns forever. James Arness brought more than just his imposing physical presence to Gunsmoke. As a decorated World War II veteran who had been awarded both the Bronze Star and Purple Heart for his courage in battle, he possessed an authentic grit that perfectly suited a lawman of the Wild West. His wartime experiences at the Battle of Anzio, where he was severely wounded by German machine gun fire, had instilled in him a quiet strength that translated remarkably well to the character of Matt Dillon. Drafted into the U.S. Army in 1943, Arness served with the 3rd Infantry Division during World War II. Just 10 days into the Allied invasion of Anzio, Italy, he was severely wounded by German machine gun fire. The injury cost him part of his foot and left him hospitalized for months. These battlefield scars didn't just shape his character, they also affected his work throughout his acting career. The injuries Arness sustained during the war, particularly to his knees and feet, caused him lasting discomfort that would follow him throughout the 20 years of Gunsmoke. To ease his physical strain, the production team made thoughtful adjustments on set. Scenes requiring heavy walking or physical action were scheduled early in the morning before the pain became too intense. Despite these challenges, Arness's portrayal of Marshal Matt Dillon remained seamless. His dedication to the role, combined with the crew's creative scheduling, ensured that his performance never wavered. Just like Dillon's unwavering resolve to uphold the law, Arness's ability to push through his pain reflected the same grit and determination that made both the actor and the character legendary. This perseverance through physical suffering adds another layer to understanding the man behind the badge, and potentially offers insights into the tensions that would later develop with his co-stars. Gunsmoke assembled a remarkable cast that created the perfect chemistry for a long-running series. Alongside Arness, the show featured Milburn Stone as Doc Adams, later revealed to be named Galen Adams, a name the actor himself chose after being given the honor by the writers. Dennis Weaver as the limping deputy Chester Good, later replaced by Ken Curtis as Festus Hagen, and Amanda Blake as Miss Kitty Russell, the proprietor of the Long Branch Saloon, and Matt Dillon's implied romantic interest. Blake's role as Miss Kitty underwent a fascinating transformation between mediums. On the original radio series, Kitty was portrayed quite explicitly as a professional madam, a detail that added complexity to her character but remained an open secret. However, television in the 1950s operated under stricter content guidelines, and network executives were keen to keep Gunsmoke family-friendly to maintain its widespread appeal. As a result, Kitty's past was softened considerably, and her profession was deliberately downplayed on screen. She evolved into a respected businesswoman who ran the Long Branch Saloon with charm and independence. This change not only made Kitty more relatable to audiences, but also ensured the show could captivate viewers of all ages without controversy. Despite the shift, Amanda Blake's warm and spirited portrayal kept Kitty a beloved and essential part of the Gunsmoke legacy. Interestingly, Blake wasn't the original choice for the role of Miss Kitty. The part initially belonged to actress Polly Bond, a seasoned performer from a show business family who had already made a name for herself in westerns by the age of 11. However, Bond turned down the opportunity to focus on her personal life, opening the door for Blake to step in. Once she took on the role, Blake transformed Miss Kitty into one of television's most beloved characters. Her charm, wit, and emotional depth brought a unique energy to Gunsmoke, proving that sometimes fate has a better plan. What began as a casting twist became a defining element of the show's enduring legacy. The show's characters became household names, with viewers tuning in week after week to follow their adventures in Dodge City. On screen, their relationships appeared seamless, particularly the long simmering romance between Marshall Dillon and Miss Kitty, which became one of television's most famous unresolved love stories. But appearances can be deceiving. While James Arness maintained cordial relationships with most of his co-stars, his interactions with Amanda Blake were reportedly fraught with tension. Despite their characters' on-screen chemistry, which suggested a deep, intimate connection that viewers cherished, behind the cameras, Arness and Blake engaged in constant disagreements that ranged from creative differences to personal conflicts. According to production insiders who worked on the show during its two-decade run, Arness privately expressed that he would prefer Blake to leave the series. This sentiment remained largely hidden from the public, as both actors maintained professional demeanors during filming and press appearances. Neither Arness nor Blake ever publicly acknowledged their difficult relationship during the show's run, preserving the illusion of harmony that was crucial to Gunsmoke's success. What makes this behind-the-scenes conflict particularly fascinating is how successfully both actors concealed their personal animosity. Viewers remained completely unaware that the tender glances between Marshall Dillon and Miss Kitty were being exchanged by two performers who could barely tolerate each other when the camera stopped rolling. This professional discipline speaks volumes about their commitment to their craft and the show that had become a cultural institution. The long-running nature of Gunsmoke meant that Arness and Blake were forced to work closely together for nearly 2 decades, a challenging situation even for actors who get along well. For two strong personalities with fundamental incompatibilities, this arrangement created a pressure cooker of emotions that occasionally boiled over behind closed doors. What caused such tension between these two television icons? Several factors contributed to their difficult relationship, creating a complex web of professional and personal friction that worsened over time. First, creative differences plagued their working relationship from early in the show's run. Arness, who became increasingly involved in the production aspects of Gunsmoke as the series progressed, often had strong opinions about how scenes should be played and how stories should unfold. As his star power grew, so did his influence over the show's direction. By the mid-1960s, Arness had secured significant creative control, including approval over scripts and casting decisions. Blake, herself a talented and opinionated performer with strong instincts about her character, frequently disagreed with Arness's vision. These creative standoffs often centered around the portrayal of Matt and Kitty's relationship, a central element of the show that required delicate handling. While Blake reportedly pushed for more explicit romance between the characters, Arness preferred to maintain the subtle, understated dynamic that had defined their relationship from the beginning. These creative battles exhausted directors and crew members, who often found themselves caught in the crossfire. Second, personality clashes created natural friction that intensified over time. Colleagues described Arness as intensely private and somewhat reserved off-camera, a sharp contrast to his commanding on-screen presence. He preferred quiet time between takes and maintained strict boundaries between his personal and professional life. Known for being something of a loner on set, Arness would often retreat to his dressing room rather than socialize with cast and crew during breaks. Blake, conversely, was known for her vibrant personality and sociable nature on set. She enjoyed the camaraderie of production and often organized gatherings for cast and crew. Her extroverted approach to work relationships stood in stark contrast to Arness's more introverted style. These fundamental differences in temperament created natural friction that, over years of working together, developed into deeper resentment. Third, as Gunsmoke evolved, so did the balance of power between characters. While Marshall Dillon remained the central figure, Miss Kitty's role expanded significantly from the early seasons, earning Blake increasing attention from fans and media. Her portrayal of the strong-willed saloon owner resonated particularly with female viewers, who appreciated seeing a woman of agency and independence in a genre traditionally dominated by male characters. Some production staff later suggested that Arness felt threatened by Blake's growing popularity, concerned that her character might overshadow his central role. As fan mail for Blake increased, and magazine features began to highlight her contribution to the show's success, tensions reportedly escalated. This dynamic reflects a common challenge in long-running series when supporting characters develop devoted followings that rival the ostensible stars. Fourth, the show's grueling production schedule took a toll on everyone involved. During its peak years, Gunsmoke produced up to 40 episodes per season, a punishing pace by modern standards. The long hours on set, combined with the physical demands of a Western series filmed largely on location in challenging conditions, created an environment where tempers could flare easily. For Arness, whose war injuries caused chronic pain that worsened throughout the day, the exhaustion was both physical and mental. Another critical factor in understanding Arness's difficult relationship with Blake involves his physical suffering during the production of Gunsmoke. The war injuries he sustained in 1944 never fully healed, leaving him with chronic pain and mobility issues that worsened as he aged. By the 1960s, Arness required special accommodations during filming. Scenes involving significant walking or physical action needed to be scheduled early in the day before his pain intensified. The production team adjusted shooting schedules around his physical limitations, creating logistical challenges that added stress to an already demanding production. As Gunsmoke entered its final decade, the toll of James Arness's old battlefield injuries became increasingly apparent. Years of wear and tear combined with severe arthritis made the show's long and demanding filming days a serious challenge. To ease his discomfort, the production team adjusted the shooting schedule even further, filming Arness's scenes in daily blocks to allow him crucial time to rest and recover. As his discomfort increased with age, Arness reportedly became more irritable on set, particularly during long shooting days. His physical pain may have exacerbated tensions with Blake, whose scenes with him often required emotional intimacy and patience, commodities that can be in short supply when one is suffering. The romantic tension between their characters necessitated close physical proximity and extended takes to capture the nuanced emotions of their relationship, creating situations where Arness's physical discomfort could heighten existing interpersonal tensions. For her part, Blake may not have fully appreciated the extent of Arness's suffering, as he was known to be stoic about his injuries. This disconnect could have created misunderstandings about his behavior or reactions during their scenes together, further straining their already difficult relationship. Despite his personal feelings, Arness maintained a professional relationship with Blake throughout their years on Gunsmoke. This commitment to professionalism explains why viewers never detected the underlying tension. Both actors understood that the success of the show depended on their ability to set aside personal differences when the cameras rolled. In one of Hollywood's great ironies, the unresolved romantic tension between Marshall Dillon and Miss Kitty became one of television's most beloved slow-burn relationships, all while being portrayed by two actors who privately struggled to maintain civility. The longing glances and tender moments that fans treasured were a testament to both performers' exceptional acting abilities. Their on-screen chemistry was so convincing that viewers spent decades speculating about the true nature of Matt and Kitty's relationship. The show's writers and producers deliberately maintained ambiguity about whether the pair had consummated their relationship, allowing audiences to project their own interpretations onto the subtle interactions between the characters. This ambiguity became one of Gunsmoke's most discussed aspects, generating countless fan theories and discussions that continue even today. Amanda Blake remained with Gunsmoke for 19 of its 20 seasons, departing the year before the series concluded. Her decision to leave came on her own terms, not as a result of Arness's private wishes. After nearly 2 decades portraying Miss Kitty, Blake decided to pursue other opportunities and spend more time at her Phoenix home with her husband. Though the character's departure was explained as Kitty having left Dodge City to pursue opportunities in New Orleans, many fans were devastated by the absence of this beloved character in the show's final season. Despite the behind-the-scenes tensions, Gunsmoke thrived for 2 decades, becoming one of television's most successful dramas. The show survived numerous challenges, not including a near cancellation in 1967, when CBS initially planned to end the series after 12 successful years. When word got out, fans were outraged. They bombarded the network with letters and protests, demanding the show stay on the air. In what has become television legend, CBS chairman William Paley's wife reportedly intervened upon learning of the cancellation plans. As a devoted fan of the series, she persuaded her husband to reconsider the decision. In a now famous twist, CBS canceled Gilligan's Island instead and moved Gunsmoke to Monday nights, where it continued to thrive for another 8 years. This remarkable save demonstrated the extraordinary cultural impact of the series and proved that a passionate fan base could shape the future of television. Gunsmoke didn't just survive this threat, it actually gained renewed energy and continued to evolve with the changing times. Throughout its run, Gunsmoke continually adapted to keep audiences engaged. Starting as a 30-minute black-and-white program, its growing popularity soon demanded more. The show expanded to a full hour while still in black and white, giving viewers more time to immerse themselves in the rugged world of Dodge City. As television advanced, so did Gunsmoke, eventually embracing full color, which brought the dusty plains and dramatic showdowns to life like never before. Each transformation was a deliberate effort to stay fresh and engaging, proving that the key to its extraordinary 20-year run was an ability to adapt without losing its heart. Through constant reinvention, Gunsmoke became more than just a Western. It became a television legend and one of the longest-running scripted dramas in history. When Gunsmoke finally ended in 1975, there was no grand finale. The series concluded with a regular episode, as the network made its cancellation decision after filming had wrapped. Most of the cast learned the news not from the producers, but through media reports. Even James Arness, the face of Gunsmoke, only found out because trade journals had already broken the story. The sudden and unceremonious cancellation left the cast and crew reeling, marking a bittersweet conclusion to one of television's most beloved westerns. Despite its unceremonious conclusion, Gunsmoke secured its place in television history with an impressive 635 episodes, a record for scripted primetime television series that stood until The Simpsons surpassed it in 2018. The final episode of Gunsmoke in 1975 didn't mark the end of its legendary run. Between 1987 and 1994, the beloved Western returned with 5 made-for-TV movies. Gunsmoke, Return to Dodge, Gunsmoke The Last Apache, Guns to the Last Man, Gunsmoke The Long Ride, and Gunsmoke One Man's Justice. These films reunited the cast and brought fans back to the dusty streets of Dodge City. At the heart of them all was James Arness, who once again donned his badge to play the iconic Marshal Matt Dillon. While the films may not have received widespread critical acclaim, they offered a nostalgic continuation of the series, giving fans a heartfelt chance to revisit the world and characters they cherished for so many years. Notably, Amanda Blake did not participate in these reunions, as she passed away in 1989 at the age of 60 from complications related to AIDS, a fact that was not widely known until after her death. Her absence was deeply felt by fans, who had hoped to see Matt and Kitty reunited one final time. After Gunsmoke ended, both James Arness and Amanda Blake moved on to other projects while acknowledging the significant impact the series had on their careers. In later interviews, both actors spoke fondly of their time on Gunsmoke, focusing on the show's quality and cultural impact, rather than any personal conflicts. This public cordiality maintained the illusion that all had been well behind the scenes, preserving the magic of Matt and Kitty's relationship for generations of viewers. Blake continued acting in television films and made guest appearances on various shows until her health began to decline in the late 1980s. Beyond her acting career, she became known for her passionate advocacy for animal welfare, establishing the Arizona Animal Welfare League and dedicating significant time and resources to wildlife conservation. James Arness, who passed away in 2011 at the age of 88, remained largely private about his interpersonal relationships on Gunsmoke. In keeping with his reserved nature, he rarely discussed conflicts or tensions from his years on the show, preferring to let his work speak for itself. Following Gunsmoke, he starred in the Western series How the West Was Won and the police drama McLean's Law, though neither achieved the same level of success as his signature role. In his later years, Arness became increasingly reclusive, rarely granting interviews or making public appearances. He devoted much of his time to his family and his passions for surfing and sailing along the California coast, a striking contrast to the landlocked plains of Dodge City, where he had spent so much of his professional life. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Arness-Blake relationship is how completely they concealed their personal antipathy while creating one of television's most beloved partnerships. Their ability to set aside personal feelings for the sake of their craft represents the highest standard of professionalism in acting. This commitment to their characters and the story transcended whatever private grievances existed between them. For 20 years, viewers invited Matt Dillon and Kitty Russell into their homes, investing emotionally in a relationship that seemed to embody genuine affection and respect. The fact that this convincing portrayal came from two actors who reportedly struggled to maintain cordiality off-screen makes their performance all the more impressive. Their situation reflects a common reality in the entertainment industry, where performers must often work closely with colleagues despite personal differences. What sets the Arness-Blake dynamic apart is the longevity of their partnership and the central importance of their characters' relationship to the show's appeal. Unlike modern television series, which might run for 5 to 7 seasons, Gunsmoke required them to maintain this professional facade for nearly 2 decades, an extraordinary feat of compartmentalization and commitment to craft. Gunsmoke continues to be celebrated as one of television's greatest achievements, with reruns still airing more than 6 decades after its premiere. New generations of viewers continue to discover the show, falling in love with the complex characters and compelling stories of Dodge City. The tension between James Arness and Amanda Blake remains a fascinating footnote in television history, a reminder that the magic we see on screen often comes from the exceptional ability of performers to transcend their personal feelings and breathe life into the characters we cherish. In the end, whatever personal conflicts existed between them, both Arness and Blake created a television legacy that has outlived them both, proving that sometimes the most difficult partnerships can produce the most enduring art. Their complicated relationship behind the scenes adds another layer of complexity to a show that, even decades later, continues to captivate audiences with its authentic portrayal of life, love, and justice on the American frontier. As we look back on Gunsmoke today, we can appreciate not only the compelling stories and iconic characters, but also the remarkable professionalism of 2 actors who, despite their personal differences, gave television one of its most memorable relationships. In that sense, perhaps the tension between Arness and Blake actually contributed to the electric on-screen chemistry that made Matt and Kitty's relationship so captivating, a testament to the adage that sometimes the most challenging collaborations produce the most magical results.